mind. We don't want to, because we don't want to reinvent the church. But I think we definitely want to try and figure out how can we reinvent how we move the church.
But it's the principles. It's the principles of the church. And you can speak. Ian might speak on this though. But it's the principles and the core of which the foundation of the church was built on.
Right.
Is solid.
Right.
Up on this rock I will build my church.
Right.
I think it is, but I think there's some conversation that needs to be had with. Does this rock still look like the rock, that old rock back then?
Right.
And it's a rock in 2026.
Right.
It's the same rock, but what do you do something to that rock?
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of what I meant. Like, obviously, like, again, you have like the solid foundation of the church. Obviously you may not want to try and like reinvent that entirely, but I would like to think of it as how can we reinvent the way that we move it going forward? So that way, of course, you know what I mean? Now we're allowing it to speak to other people too, trying to find a way to where we can connect with anybody and everybody, you know what I mean? Without, fully gut renovating, the foundations of what made the church, if that makes sense. So
renovating it, I feel like that's a good word.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to just like both from an adult to a more teenage perspective. Like I feel like everyone needs to put their pride at the door and be willing to learn from the other side.
Yeah.
And just kind of make the effort to make each other better.
Mm-hmm. Which
I don't think either of us do very well.
Yeah.
That's good.
I agree. I think it's definitely, no, you took the word out of my mouth.
Man, incredible. Yeah.
It's good stuff.
I think a lot about the emphasis that the church places on certain things. Each different denomination has its specific belief set and its way of doing things, and so many of them are so different. Mm-hmm. And one of the key components of that is, even with the scars that each individual church movement and each individual church community carries, it's still at core the bride of Christ.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
And what we really need to focus on is how and where Jesus is moving in community and meet him there, so that then we can push forward into the next stages of integrating the up and coming generation into a new found version of what church culture can be for moving forward.
Right.
So I just think a lot about Lamont and I talk about some of the things that we want to do, and one of them would be something that has to do with a more of a established community that meets regularly. So, and we can get into that at some point, but those are things that I think are strong in our heart to do. So,
absolutely.
Man, this has been great.
It has.
Anyone have any closing thoughts before we go? Anything else that's on your heart you want to talk about?
No,
not really. I think that.
You think that's it?
I think that covers the majority of it. Unless, of course, you guys have any other questions for us.
No, we've had a whole lot. So, I guess the last question would be, what is your role today in allowing this? You want to, be what you want to see in the earth. It's one of the things, In other words, what is your individual roles? Okay, and let's just take it from an individual. What is your role in saying, hey, I want to make sure that this community or the kingdom is seen today? Or is that priority for you guys?
It is, but it's more in just love everyone, regardless of like sexuality, race, background. Just be love, because me and John, you can describe Christianity in so many different ways, and I think like part of the problem is everyone has a different view of what it means to be Christian. But like baseline is just like God is love, and I think if you want to show that and like live it in the earth, you can't judge someone for loving someone different than you do. You can't. That's not human. That's not empathy. That's not love. So it is just. The best way to show his kingdom is by loving everyone, regardless of just how you live.
Live it out.
Yeah, and then also, sorry, I had another. I feel like God never judged anyone, so you need to also humble yourself and realize you're not in a position to judge anyone from being different than you are. and just show love, but also be willing to be humble enough to like receive it and just be kind to everyone.
It's good.
Yeah. Well, and like I think, to your point too, being a Christian does not pride you above anybody else at all. It shouldn't. Being a Christian, to me, means acknowledging that you're actually one of the worst, but you're there, willing to change. And if I'm one of the worst too, then that guy over there, he might be pretty bad too, but that don't mean I'm any better. Sure, I might be trying to change and everything like that, but I found that God sees all of our sin, little, small, whatever, big, whatever, it doesn't matter. He sees all of it, right? So just because I do something a little differently or do something that the world might see as better, God might just see it as another thing that I've done. Same with what that guy does over there. I'm no better than him, nor am I any less. I'm just as bad, We're the same. And in terms of how we treat people, for me, that love should just come naturally. Honestly, it's like I shouldn't have to try to love people. I shouldn't have to. I understand, like that, tensions and things like that, and having arguments with people and getting upset and things like that. I understand that, right? That's definitely another conversation for sure. Where if you want to get more into the specifics of it, yeah, sure. But just how you present yourself, how you throw yourself out there, it's so simple to me. It's so simple. Just treat everybody with respect. It shouldn't be this whole complex thing. Well, I got 1 + 2. I got to do that. No, what? It shouldn't be all that.
But the thing is, Jonas, it's good, and you can do it. But I think like the experience you kind of shared with your supervisor,
right?
Love becomes complicated when you deal with people that are hurting.
Yeah.
Hurt people, man.
That's right.
And it's really, and I think that it goes back to we talk about baggage and baggage claim, one of the workshops we do. When people haven't dealt with their baggage, a lot of times it ends up spilling up on you. So you want to love them, but some people are hard to love.
Yeah.
Some people got love from a distance,
right.
And we want to, I think even when you went up there, you talked about you got your rose-colored glasses smashed. I think the reality of the matter is, it's just a lot of, let's just go, it's Black History Month, right? And all of a sudden you got a president who puts a monkey face on the former president. But you gotta love,
right?
And I'm just saying that not a political perspective or anything, but I'm just talking about right and wrong.
Right.
These things happen,
right.
And you just say, "Oh man, this love is so easy." Man, it's tough,
right?
Because of people,
right?
To where, man, this Black History Month for proud.
Right.
You only have one black president. Whether you like him or not, I don't care who he is, but just being black, man, this is kind of a good thing for you,
right?
And then you get a gut punch,
right?
That's real stuff, I mean, that's just, and it's not even to point fingers at anybody, but I'm talking about this is just like, okay, bam, body blow, and I got to just keep on going, So Jake, it gets tough to say, okay, well, because you gotta forgive again,
right?
If we gonna walk this walk, walk differently, we can't walk in a fence. But you gonna get hit. You can't go to the funeral. You can't do this, or it's hard.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of push back on the fact that I don't want to, and I'm like that with Sam all the time too, because I'm like, we gotta turn y'all loose into this world, our kids. And it's one of the hardest things to see your kid. We're older. We've been through some stuff. Me, you, JJ. But your kid's gonna get hit.
Right.
And I gotta love whoever hits my kids.
Right.
So I wanna, I gotta push back on.
Yeah.
I struggle with love, you know, and I've been saved a long time. But shoot, you catch me on the wrong day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But Jake, I'll let you close. But I ain't pushing back. I want to do this. Let me just say that I want to do this.
Right.
But doggone it.
Can I add on one more thing real quick by chance?
Sure.
Yeah, just to kind of like to your point too. Like, I think it's more of like a thing where it's kind of like, you know, you want to be able to love, because like you said, you know, like I said, like when you get into specifics of things, that's where it gets difficult, right? Like you said,
You're dealing with people,
right? How am I supposed to love to do that? Just hit my kid, right? And so I wonder. It almost makes me wonder, like, okay, is it more of one of the things where we kind of have to learn how to just blindly love, or love from like a moral standpoint, right? I think pretty much anybody can agree that hitting another kid is wrong, right? You know.
Well, I mean, we're talking about hitting another kid. We're talking about, let's talk about child molestation.
Right.
The uncle who touched the, you know, it's a lot of things that are just terrible today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's hard.
So I mean, this is like the
it's
real
hard to
stuff.
draw that line. It is. It's tricky.
It's I'll forgive you.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, that's like
Hold up in a minute,
and that's why like it's so.
It takes time.
Yeah, it's so
And
difficult.
It's blurry.
we need Jesus.
Yeah.
You need Jesus.
Right.
But also it's blurry. Like,
it is.
you say you gotta. It takes time. And
Right.
loving from a distance is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And also just show love, but also be okay. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess it's just kind of like. I don't know if this is too strong of a phrase, but like maybe like, just depending on the situation, of course, like cautiously loving.
I don't think you can cautiously, Jack, you speak to this. I don't think you can I mean, and this is deep stuff because
it's hard.
You know, because and I say that to say that we sit in different seats, not to discredit your seats, but when you have life under your belt and disappointment and hurt and all this stuff, we come from a different place. And the only reason I say that to you guys is, and I tell Sam all the time, I just don't want you. As much as I can prepare you, I'm going to prepare you probably for the worst.
Right.
Because I don't want you, you know what blindsided feels like.
Right.
When you call from Atlanta, when you talked to Sam, you were like, what happened?
Right.
I didn't know this was life.
Right.
Sam has hit that wall, not like you have, and he really haven't hit it on that level, but I know he's going to hit it. Everybody ain't going to be kind to him, you know, and somebody may say something insensitive or ignorant. So I try to prepare you guys for the worst. So I don't mean to be negative nanny on, you know, we're just going to love, but the truth of the matter is I've been crushed too, but I've learned to, it's taken me years to forgive.
Right.
And it took Jesus, and Jesus, my first freaking episode, I carry a lot of bitterness and anger, you know what I'm saying? Right. So I'm coming from a different perspective, and it's possible, but I'm telling you, man,
it's hard.
When you guys gonna take some, as a general, you're gonna take some blows, and I don't want you to be like, man, I didn't ever get into it. That's how life is going. It's gonna be some people do some stuff, and you be like, how could they do that?
Right.
Jake, you want to speak?
No, I mean, there'll be times that you also are the one doing it.
Yeah.
I've been him.
Yeah.
And somebody might be listening to the podcast like, that's Lamont Lister.
Right.
Really?
Yeah, we talk about people are hard to love. They're like, well, so am I sometimes.
Right.
That's my wife. That's my kids.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Man, but it's one of those things that it's possible, though.
Yeah.
It's possible.
And it's not possible because of under our own strength or by our own volition, and it's certainly not through human effort.
Right.
Because you can will yourself to try and love somebody or to forgive somebody for bad things that happen or bad things that they do to you or someone you love, but it really takes God working in and through you to be able to do something so powerful, which is the very definition of grace. Is God working in us to do something that we can't accomplish on our own.
That's it.
Man, this was an incredibly challenging, very engaging, and very wonderful conversation. And I just wanted to thank you all for being here.
Yeah, of course.
This was great.
As always.
Absolutely.
Always,
It's interesting to get a perspective of where the youth younger men are today and
Right.
the young culture. So thank you for sharing everything that you
Yeah,
did,
of
Sam and
course.
Jonas.
Of course.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for
guys.
having us
Thank you.
here.
Let's be here.
I can tell you, I don't know how you dealt with him as a father. Because, oh my goodness, dude, are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah, but he
All him.
Yeah.
And
No,
we're-
but yeah, he does it all out of love, though.
yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
Always.
he all out of love.
I know a good therapist.
Jonas
for you.
gets it
He's
too.
giving me
He
something
probably
too.
need
Yeah.
one. Yeah, he
you
gets
get it
it
worse
too.
than I do.
Well, he just got it right here and now. What are you kidding
yeah.
me?
He does. I tell you. I said. I
But
said
you, I mean, like after what he told me, it definitely made me be like, oh man, I gotta rephrase that a little bit. You know what I mean? Or kind of look at it differently. How can But now I get to walk differently with a new perspective. So I'm not mad, right?
that's it.
Look at that. We got a real life
That's why I
example.
love these
Walk
guys,
differently.
man.
That's it.
That's why I love these guys. You don't get young people that listen. I'm gonna tell you, there's some out there, but
They ain't been on their phone one time.
imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Imagine that. But yeah, I'll let you wrap it up,
All
brother.
right, man.
right.
Thank you guys for being here, and
Yeah, of
we want to
course.
thank you for joining us today on the Walk Differently podcast. We're just so grateful that you took your time to spend with us, and please stick with us. Like, subscribe, and comment, share with a friend. And we look forward to talking to you next time. And let us know how you're walking differently.